I was born into a family that you would consider was just borderline above abject poverty. And my father married my mother when he was 22 years old, and he could barely read and write. She was a teacher, and she taught him to read and write. And he ended up earning a diesel engineering degree from Briggs and Stratton in England, because the Bahamas, being a British colony, you had to get your education through England. And that transformed our family's life. My father went from making $50 every 2 weeks to making thousands of dollars per month. So we did not have a choice when it came to our education. You know, you can get away with doing some mischievous stuff, but if you missed school or got a bad grade, heaven came down, glory didn't fill your soul, my father's whip filled your butt. So education was always important to us. And that gave me the avenues, that desire to learn and being pushed by my parents gave me the opportunity to travel outside the United States, outside the Bahamas, to England, Canada, and the United States to be educated. The recipient of technical one degree, 2 bachelor's degrees, 1 in theology, 1 in business, a master's in business with a specialty in marketing, and a PhD in ministry. So you can see where my parents just pushed us in a way where education really, really was important. That opened many doors, where I ended up working in the United States, and the last job that I had I was a senior executive in the cruise line industry. There is where I learned logistics and moving people and working with people and being able to take gifts and talents and all of the skill sets and put them together to accomplish one specific goal. It was God's way of training me to be a missionary who worked with churches and short-term missions to accomplish goals in the Bahamas. So I was an island boy, born into a family with a mother that loved the Lord, a father who just loved my mother, and she used her gifts to teach him, where he earned a degree. He taught us how important education is. I was able to go to school in England, Canada, and the United States, which impacted my life and opened the door for me to be educated and to be trained in America to come back home as a missionary to serve God in this way. Well, my wife and I, after recognizing that there was a great need to share the gospel in the Caribbean and in the Bahamas, we wanted to show the image of God. And we wanted people to see that God is a loving God, a kind God, a caring God, and He works through people. So we established Karazim, which is a Greek word for spirit, that means showing the image of God. So the whole heart behind the ministry was us coming together to form an entity that would exist to show the image of God. And then of course there's all the legal parameters where you want to be able to have transparency, you want to have accountability, and all of the things that are required for people to respect what you do and to recognize that it's not about a money-making thing, but it's really a God thing. Okay, we thought we were just the brightest academicians there is, right? So we wanted to put acronyms together so that whatever name we came up with would represent something. So we tried K-Ra. That didn't work. Raka, we found out in the Bible that means thou fool. So we're putting all these acronyms together and all these letters together to form some acronym that means something. And one day, Karen's father called us up while we were actually working on a house in the village for a family. And he says, I have a name for the ministry. Karazim. K-A, Karen, R-A, Raoul, A-Z, the Alpha and the Omega, I am the image of God. So it had all of these parts that means Karen and Raoul showing the image of God. Karazim. Then we researched it and found out it's a word that already exists that means spirit, which is the image of God.